The following news flash is brought to you by the Lone Star Lowdown, providing your daily bulletins for the commodities market. Today in history, news updates, and the inside scoop into the tides of the alternative. Markets for Monday, the 4th of April, 2016 are currently trading with gold at $1,215.51 an ounce, silver $14.96 an ounce, Texas crude $36.79 a barrel, and Bitcoin is currently sitting at about 418 U.S. currency. Today in history, the year 1968. African-American U.S. civil rights activist and minister Martin Luther King Jr. is assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. He was shot while standing on the balcony at the Lorraine Motel where he and his team of civil rights activists were staying at. A circuit court of Shelby County, Tennessee, 13th Judicial District at Memphis in December of 1999 found that unspecified U.S. government agencies were complicit and guilty in the assassination. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was shot and pronounced dead. Today in history. In recent news, New York Democratic Senator Charles Schumer called on the Federal Department of Justice and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives to investigate a gun that appears to look like an iPhone. The manufacturer, Ideal Conceal, said that the government's concern over the weapon is misplaced. CEO Kirk Gilbert said that the gun is expected to be ready for market later in the year. Images of the weapon on the company's Facebook page show what appears to be a regular smartphone case. However, it's just not any case since this one opens up into a .38 caliber handgun. List price is expected to be around $395 US. Gilbert, who has a concealed carry license himself, says he came up with the idea for the gun after a young child in a restaurant caught a glimpse of his more obvious weapon and pointed it out in public. Schumer's arguing that the gun, which appears like an everyday item, could violate federal law, which is why he requested today that the Justice Department and the ATF investigate. A small fire today forced the evacuation of the Internal Revenue Service's headquarters in Washington, D.C. Apparently, the building was closed around 2:45 in the afternoon due to electrical issues concerning the heating and air conditioning systems. Of the 2,000 people or so who worked in the building, many had already left before the fire started around 3:30 when it was reported. The small fire, which was apparently contained to only one room in the basement, was in fact related to electrical issues, though the direct cause is still under investigation. Luckily, the IRS assured the public that tax returns are not processed at this particular building and will thus have no effect on tax return processing. There were no reported injuries. This is Rick Rohde with your lowdown for April 4th, 2016.
Logos Radio Network presents The Truth Exposed Radio Show every Wednesday 6 to 8 p.m., bringing to you breakdowns on current events, history, and philosophy with your host, Rick Rohde, Marshall Soul, and Cuddy Rowe. Welcome and thank you for tuning in.
And we are live this April 6th, 2016, here every Wednesday on the Logos Radio Network. This is Truth Exposed. I am one of your hosts, Cuddy Rowe.
Marshall Soul.
Rick Rohde. Yeah, boys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Been a pretty jam-packed week, hasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a little tired, man. Some people came by and kept me up all night reading Bastier's The Law.
Oh, who was that?
I don't know, man. They stayed past the game, too. Not that I was watching it, but...
Talking about them Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun reading some of that Bastiat.
Yeah, I was more entertained by the Bastiat than the Spurs. Definitely.
Or was it my interpretation of Bastier in a southern accent?
Yeah, right. That was pretty.
Mr. Louis Blanc. Yeah, bringing up the Blanc.
That was pretty interesting.
No, yeah, that's definitely something to read for our listeners if you haven't already, which I'm sure many of you already have. But it's always good to refresh. Always good to reanalyze.
Yeah, it's not that long of a book either.
It isn't. It's probably a little pamphlet's worth that you can. I'm thinking about getting like a stack of like 100 of them, and like somehow and just passing them out in different spots, somewhere. But definitely check out The Law by Frederick Bastiat.
You might get some better responses.
Yeah, right. But we are live, ladies and gentlemen, as you all well know. Always love being live here with you guys. Free speech radio. We try to keep it always with lines open for the public. 512-646-1984. Whether you agree or disagree, feel free to call in. We're not like the other shows that cut you off real quick and don't let you speak your mind.
Yeah, and try to erase you off the archives,
Yeah, just as long as you keep it civil and keep out the FCC terms, the no words,
Yeah, the only F word we can use here is freedom.
Yeah.
Yep. Do have quite a show, jam packed. We got the shenanigans of the delegates, which we really probably won't even get into that. But I do have the Panama Papers that people are talking about, the Panama Leaks.
Uh-oh.
Apparently people, rich and politically well-connected people are avoiding paying their share.
Oh, you don't say.
Well, I think
Didn't see that one coming.
I think it kind of goes deeper than that too, though.
Didn't see that one coming, yeah. Yeah, it sure does. And as y'all well know, we've been breaking down Mr. John Locke's 2 treaties on government and just been breaking down his take on the acquisition of raw land and raw materials from the earth and how we transform those into property. So we're going to keep looking into that for sure.
Definitely some good topics, I mean, just to define things better, so people understand where your rights, derive from, while we're talking about the law and acquisition of land. I mean,
it kind of goes hand in hand a little bit there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and do have a incident that occurred here where apparently some kids were according to the CIA, not any immediate danger, but with a couple of explosives underneath the school bus, the hood of the school bus, kind of makes you wonder how safe that really was.
What are they doing using real explosives? I mean, if these
how'd that get left behind too? And what was going on? What was the intent behind that?
Are they not keeping like a stock check of this stuff?
Are there more of these?
They're trying to pull a 7-7 over here with little kids.
Yeah, I would not like to see something like that happen. So we do have a lot to break down here. So what do you guys want us to kick it off with? Oh, of course, the IRS building, unfortunately, didn't completely burn down in D.C. Just a little fire caused by electrical problems.
Must not have had jet fuel.
Oh, man, no jet fuel.
No jet fuel building come down.
And they must have not called you for the electrical work either. I know you would have done it right.
Yeah, by today's standards, but whatever that was.
Yeah, right. But definitely jumping in right into it here. This is according to NPR.
This whole thing sounds to me like Operation Northwoods.
Sounds kind of scary, doesn't it? Apparently, the CIA inadvertently left explosive material in a school bus after a canine drill.
Yeah, the imaginary quotations under the inadvertently left.
Why do they even have to use real explosive materials for a drill? I mean, I know why. Because they might really do it.
Well, don't be giving people ideas to do it.
I'm sure it had to do with the canine sniffing out bomb explosive material.
Well, they can do that somewhere else.
And
do they have to use kids' real school buses?
I guess just to give it the sense of a live exercise,
All this incompetence, I just don't buy it. I mean,
when drills go bad.
How are these people in the CIA and they're that incompetent?
Yeah, you would think they would have a checklist of how many explosives they were using for this exercise. But this is according to NPR here.
Just stick what they're good with is running guns and smuggling drugs.
And then their dog didn't even get it. So I guess the dogs don't work, bro. Give it up.
Guess the dogs don't work, right? Someone's got to get retired already. But the CIA inadvertently left explosive materials on a school bus after training exercises with local law enforcement in Loudoun County, Virginia. The agency and the county sheriff's office say the bus then remained in service for 2 whole days, transporting students to a high school and to 2 elementary schools before the explosive material was found, not by the K-9 units, not by the CIA asking where their missing explosives were, but just by a routine maintenance job on the bus, by the local illegal mechanic, the immigrant.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's illegal or not.
Hey, what's this?
Yeah, straight up. I mean,
did they say what type of explosive it was?
It just said
no.
material.
They don't. Apparently, the CIA. We'll see here in the statement because this is a pretty short article. According to the statement from the school district, the bus carrying the material made 8 runs, totaling 145 miles, carrying 26 students attending the Rock Ridge High School and the Buffalo Trail Elementary School in Pine Brook. Oh, and the Pine Brook Elementary School. So two elementary schools and a high school involved in this. The CIA put the material in the bus as part of a regular joint exercise to train explosive sniffing dogs at Briarwoods High School on March 20, from March 21st to the 24th here, during spring break when all the kids were gone. And the Sheriff's County says that the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office says that the fire marshals also took part of the drill, along with local explosive teams and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, it seems like the dogs aren't really worth diddly. I mean, that's pretty obvious here. They weren't able to.
They couldn't find it, but the maintenance guy could. That tells you that it wasn't even hidden, like under the bus where no one could see it. I mean, the maintenance guy found it. I mean, it wasn't hidden.
Yeah, and their excuse here, I mean, or their explanation as to why the big fumble. Basically, as part of the training exercise last week, canine explosive detections training was conducted in areas inside and outside of the high school. During the outside portion of the training material was hidden inside the engine compartment of the bus. At some point, a portion of the material appears to have been dislodged from the container and fell into the engine compartment of the bus and was not recovered following the training.
What?
So a portion of it went into the engine compartment.
Where'd the other portion go? Did it fall in the street and somebody's got a hold of it now?
Yeah, right. I mean, what's the deal with that here? I mean, apparently they didn't have any kind of stock checklist or anything like that to determine how, whether they got all their materials back or not.
You think you'd make a note of, what you're using and where you place it?
How much?
What bus?
It's like you're planning, Easter eggs.
The bus has a number on it. You put what bus number it is and
how many pounds or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, how lame is that?
So, of course, the CIA and the sheriff's office is saying that the material is incredibly stable and benign. Of course, they didn't disclose the details due to national security.
How is it incredibly stable and benign if it's even explosive material? I don't even understand that.
Yeah, right. Explosive material is incredibly stable and benign, but a small single shot or double shot pistol that looks like an iPhone case is very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this benign and incredibly stable, object was put into an engine compartment.
Yeah, I'm sure the bus is probably could drive
moving around,
getting hot.
Yeah. Yeah, moving parts and belts and fans and all that.
I mean, there's all kinds of material that's just sensitive to being hit. I mean, maybe they're saying it's not something like that, but
right.
The heat and all kinds of other things.
Right. So we're not really disclosing the details on the type of explosives, but a Ludon school spokeswoman, Wade Bayard, told the Washington Post that it was a putty-type material designed for use on the battlefield and which requires a special detonator. Such putty or plastic explosives, including the well-known C4, are used in demolitions. So, yeah, I mean, what do we make of this?
Why didn't they practice this over there at the IRS building?
Right. Why aren't they practicing? I mean, granted, yeah, it's a government school, so technically they can do that there. I mean, I guess since they claim to own it, right?
They own it, right?
But they're gun-free zones.
Why don't they? Yeah, exactly. They're gun-free zones. I guess they're not explosive-free zones, or only during spring break, right?
Why don't they make them explosive-free zones?
We got to now, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, God forbid, what if this thing would have gone off, even though it needed a detonator? What if, God forbid, something
triggered it, right?
Yeah. I mean, would we have found out that it was the CIA who accidentally put it in there or left it in there?
Of course not. It'd be swept,
I'm sure ISIS would claim responsibility in a matter of minutes.
I'm sure bus drivers would start dropping dead and all kinds of weird things would start happening, that heart attacks and stuff,
Yeah.
Principals of schools, all of a sudden disappear and they nowhere to be found.
They get shot with the ice dart.
Yeah.
So as far as I know, there's been no reprimand over this big fumble here, and we're being assured here that, don't worry, the CIA is conducting an independent review of the K9 program and is beefing up the inventory and control procedure. So they won't screw up next time.
What is the CIA?
We're not worried.
What is the CIA doing? Even doing investigating stuff and doing things within the America's borders? They're supposed to be, for foreign intelligence.
Yeah, don't they have certain codes of regulation that bar them from conducting exercises in the jurisdiction of the continental U.S.?
Yeah, I believe those got thrown out the window.
9/11, I'm sure. Or something of the sort. But yeah, this is pretty despicable, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this level of incompetence almost seems buffoonish and just very unlikely.
Very unlikely. It doesn't seem that that's idiocracy level.
It's like those times we did the airlift of evil or whatever. We got the Al Qaeda out of certain areas, or leaving weapons for ISIS or whatnot. Those kind of fumbles. This is on that caliber.
You've got to be an extra special person to believe that. It's just, it's crazy.
We got a very competent canine, bomb sniffing canine to sell you if you believe this story. So yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just crazy to think. Thank God nothing happened. We're glad the kids are all right.
Yeah.
But teachers, leave them kids alone. CIA, leave them kids alone, because we don't want kids blowing up.
Definitely. Might want to think twice about having your kid in a public school. Coming on to a break here at Truth Exposed. Stay tuned.
You are listening to the Logos Radio Network. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
Hello, mate. All right? Yeah, I'm all right.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Truth Exposed Radio right here on the Logos Radio Network. Now, what else has been going on in the news there, Rick? I see you got the Panama Papers coming up.
Yeah, we do. Before we get that kicking and do a little analysis on it from from our perspective, we do invite you all to check out logosradionetwork.com and check out the great lineup of sponsors we have on the page. Everybody from non-GMO Solutions to the Global Healing Center to even just basic everyday shopping off of Amazon. Be sure to clear your cookies when you do, and just buy through Amazon through our website, and it goes to help out the page. Not to mention the Logos promo code that you can use. Again, that's Logos for a 10% discount on the non-GMO Solutions. And even some economic good survivable currency here. Gold Savings Club, the Carrot Bar currency. Really neat Carrot Bars you can break off this card that you can buy. And
fits in your wallet. Nice, malleable size.
Yeah, I think they're gram Carrot Bars, but regardless what the weight is, definitely a neat way to carry around some real currency, some real gold-backed currency. And No Lawyer, No Problem, howtowinIncourt.com. Definitely check that out, along with the great shows on the network. Most importantly, the flagship, Rule of Law.
Can't stress it enough.
Eddie Craig does have a awesome package of information that you can get from him, with all the dictionaries and law sources and constitutions and procedures, court procedures, and everything that you need, pretty much.
Handbooks,
for any case.
The audio seminar, the video seminar.
It's just basically teaching you how to fight the man. Just nice and simply, just learn. You don't realize how to fight, with these people.
Fight the man using the man's own rule book.
Yeah, because they don't even follow their own rules.
Exactly.
And a lot of that is procedural, which allows them to have to put you in the position that you're in.
Mm-hmm. And then they make deals with the lawyers and get paid off of you and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, and you've even used it right before to get a case pro bono, huh, from a lawyer, Marshall?
Well, he didn't even do anything though. That's why he gave me the money back, and then he ended up filing a motion to give me my.
So using that information, you basically knew more than the lawyer did, and so he took your case for free.
Yeah, pretty much.
No surprise.
There you go.
Yeah,
Proof's in the pudding.
Right. No surprise. Rule of law would get put on the anti-government watch list.
Yeah,
we got
really fighting the government. Yeah, gotta love it.
Yeah, which applause on that one, guys.
Definitely.
But these Panama leaks. What's the deal with this? The Panama Papers. I'm sure you guys have been hearing about it.
I actually hadn't.
Not too much?
No, I actually hadn't. I must have just missed that. I don't know how I haven't heard it.
Well, this article here is dated from yesterday, April 5th. It's from The Guardian here. And they are the group of associated news agencies that were given the information. But let's go through this little article here and see what we come about philosophically, what we get out of it. So the Panama Papers are an unprecedented leak of 11.5 million files from the database of the world's fourth biggest offshore law firm, Mossack Fonseca. The records were obtained from an anonymous source by the German newspaper, Süddeutsche Zeitung, I don't even want to pronounce that, which shared them with the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. The ICIG then shared them with the large networks of international partners, including The Guardian and the BBC. So what do they reveal? The documents show the myriad of ways in which the rich can exploit secretive offshore tax regimes. 12 national leaders are among 143 politicians, their families and close associates from around the world known to have been using offshore tax havens. Oh, you don't say. You're telling me people that live off of tax dollars aren't paying their fair share of taxes? A $2 billion trail leads all the way to Vladimir Putin himself. The Russian president's best friend, a cellist called Sergei Roldugin, is at the center of the scheme in which money from Russia, states' banks, is hidden offshore. Some of it ends up in a ski resort where in 2013 Putin's daughter, Katerina, got married. Among national leaders with offshore wealth are Nawaz Sharif, Pakistan's prime minister, Aid Alawi, ex-interim prime minister and former vice president of Iraq, Petro Poroshenko, president of Ukraine, Allah Mubarak, son of Egypt's former president, and the prime minister of Iceland, Sigmundur David Gunnlaugsson. An offshore investment fund run by the father of British Prime Minister David Cameron avoided ever having to pay tax in Britain by hiring a small army of Bahama residents to sign its paperwork. The fund has been resigned with HM Revenue and Customs since its conception and has filed detailed tax returns every year. A lengthier overview of the revelations can be found at other links here. So, what is this firm? The Mossack Fonseca firm? It is a Panama-based law firm whose services include incorporating companies in offshore jurisdictions such as the British Virgin Islands. It administers offshore firms for a yearly fee. Other services include wealth management. Where is it based? The firm is based in Panama, but runs a worldwide operation. Its website boasts of a global network with 600 people working in 42 countries. It has franchises around the world where separately owned affiliates sign up new customers and have exclusive rights to use its brand. Mossack Fonseca operates in tax havens, including Switzerland, Cyprus, and the British Virgin Islands, and the British Crown dependencies, Guernsey, Jersey, and the Isle of Man. Never heard of that island.
You ever heard of the Isle of Man?
No, I haven't. What is that?
You know, it's it just goes to show, I mean, it's the fox guarding the hen house whole story, it's the snake. I mean, it's the snake eating its tail. We're always, looking for government to do this and to do that, and they can't even hold themselves up to their own standards of, how they want everybody else. They want to control everybody else's life. They want to, tax everybody else, but not themselves. They can't hold themselves, to their own words. They're hypocrites. They're gigantic hypocrites, all of them.
Oh yeah, big time. And don't kid us here, ladies and gentlemen. We're not calling for some kind of global system that will ensure that there is no offshore banking or offshore wealth management. In fact, it seems to be the position they're kind of pushing all this in. I mean, if you guys recall when we did the Occupy Economics, their breakdown on their pages, one of their tenets that they were calling for, along with the World Bank, was basically the dissolving of all foreign tax havens.
Well, I say the problem is the conditions that make all these people want to go put themselves in an offshore account. Why are they going to offshore accounts? Well, to avoid certain regulations and taxing. So maybe you should stop taxing and putting on those regulations.
Exactly right.
But will that be the case? Most likely not. We
of course not.
We predict that the World Bank and other financial institutions are going to be parading the idea of somehow, if we just all come together and find ways to get rid of these tax havens, then we can all reach a utopia a lot quicker because, billionaires are stashing their money away. And that's money that could go towards your health care and towards your education.
Make everybody go towards like a universal bank account, and then you have to pay a tax to have it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and we read it in Occupy Economics. They want to get rid of offshore tax havens. In order to do so, you got to have a global economy. Hence the World Bank, hence the IMF. I mean, this isn't too hard to put together here. But I did find it very interesting that it was loaded with nothing but mostly political affiliates.
Oh, of course. And I'm just thinking there's got to be some Americans in there. I just don't. It seems like they're kind of excluded. I'm sure there's got to be some American politicians in there. I mean, what is going on? I've heard these stories before. This is nothing new. I mean, where Americans just got theirs in Switzerland or somewhere or something. I don't know.
Maybe it's where the transactions linked to and the money transfers that are taking place that are the real question.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm just trying to demonize Putin and these other people. I'm sure we're just as corrupt, if not more.
Yeah, I'm sure Hillary and Mr. Barack pay their taxes. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure they don't have any offshore accounts anyway.
Come on a break, stay tuned.
Getting hitched may be one of the best moves a man can make, according to new research about the health benefits of marriage. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, and I'll be back in just a moment to tell you why men should be grateful for their wives.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This public service announcement is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
Married men live longer, healthier lives than single men. For example, they have a lower risk of depression, they're more likely to survive a bout with cancer, and they have a 46% lower chance of dying from heart disease. Why is that? A study by the RAND Corporation suggests that a big reason is their overall healthier lifestyle. Married men are better cared for when they're sick, have healthier diets, and have far less stress in a happy home environment. They're also less likely to smoke, drink excessively, or engage in other risky behaviors. So, despite all those jokes about married life, men, you should be grateful for that proverbial ball and chain. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht. More news and information at CatherineAlbrecht.com.
Looking for some truth? You found it. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. And boy, do we love Ja. I love Ja.
That is a jam and jam, bruh.
Oh, yeah. Bad brains. Hopefully you don't got any. Hopefully you got them good brains.
The CIA obviously got some bad brains.
Apparently they do. Apparently they do.
They got a long history of that.
Yeah. Definitely.
Seems like
remember them drugging the public, back in the 60s and 70s?
Oh, yeah. They don't have a very good track record at all.
No, they don't.
So where were we at? We were at this Panama leaks.
I want to make a little quick connection here because I was from The Guardian here, just kind of like a brief little summary.
Well, The Guardian also kind of pointed out that the Panama leaks were nothing in comparison to the other leaks that have taken place over the years, especially like WikiLeaks. The amount of information that was released, the amount of gigabytes.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that anonymity for whistleblowers to be able to come out through WikiLeaks has been quite revealing, to say the least. But there's this Time.com article here. The Panama Papers could lead to capitalism's great crisis. Yeah, because taxes and whatnot, and avoiding theft is capitalism's fault. But down in about the middle of the article, there's this very insightful paragraph here. Basically, the author, don't know the name here, Mr. Rana Foroohar. Rana Foroohar. I'm guessing it's a woman. But to me, this is one of the key issues here about the middle of the article. She goes on to say that, to me, this is one of the key issues at work in the U.S. presidential election. Voters know at a gut level that our system of global capitalism is working mainly for the 1%, not the 99%. Sounds like Occupy, don't it? That's a large part of why both Sanders and Trump have done well, because they tap into that truth, albeit in different ways. The Panama Papers illuminate a key aspect of why the system isn't working. Why? Because globalization has allowed the capital and the assets of the 1%, be they individuals or corporations, to travel freely, while those of the 99% cannot. Globalization is supposed to be about the free movement of people, goods, and capital, but in fact, the system is set up to enable that mobility mainly for the rich or for large corporations. The result is a global tax evasion, the offshoring of labor, and an elite that flies 35,000 feet over the problems of the nation states and the taxpayers within them. So we see this idea of, and again, we're not disagreeing here. I mean, a lot of these so-called free trade agreements are nothing more but corporate schemes to...
You don't need agreements for free trade.
Yeah, corporate schemes to siphon money off of workers and off of consumers at the expense, at their expense. No doubt. We're not debating that at all. But these connotations in here, that it's offshoring and that it's
capitalism,
right? That it's capitalism's fault, this and that,
and these truths, and then they enforce it because Trump and Sanders tap into these truths, like just trying to back their own stuff up and call it truth, like
yeah, right.
Get out of here.
Subtly planting the seed there of rhetoric, that biased rhetoric that gets you thinking that somehow this article legitimizes itself.
So let's go, and they're just pushing for that Occupy thing.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, this is really reminiscent when bringing up the free movement of capital and whatnot. If you remember, we covered this a while back, but back in 2014, Thomas Piketty, a 42-year-old professor at the Paris School of Economics, had published his book Capital in the 21st Century, that proposed an unusual, possibly impractical, right? If unless we have a global economy, call for a central. Call to deal with the central contradiction of capitalism, and that is a tendency of wealth to grow faster than the gross domestic product, creating inequality which undermines democracy and social justice. And so he's calling for a global tax on capital as well, and for a call to do so in order to collect the taxes that the rich and the wealthy are avoiding to pay.
Everybody needs to pay a global tax because the rich don't pay enough taxes.
Right. and I'm sure that will solve everything. I'm sure the people enforcing the global tax are going to pay their share of the global tax. I'm sure.
There'll be suckers that'll fall for it, want to pay the tax and realize that the rich that they hate so much are the ones that are going to be excluding themselves from that tax.
Right. Yeah, I mean, human nature, right? Self-interest. So, I mean, and again, the World Bank economist Branko Milanovic wrote that about this book. We are in the presence of one of the watershed books in economic thinking. And then even Paul Krugman, Mr. Krugman himself, basically said that this book will be the most important economics book of the year and maybe of the decade. Wow.
Oh yeah, Mr. Krugman. Okay, Mr. Paul Krugman. I trust you.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that book and I'm going to study it, guys.
So for any of y'all that may be into Bible prophecy, for any of y'all that may just be into researching the New World Order in general, we can see this global economic world order popping its nasty little head out.
I just saw a recent comedy movie, just trying to get some laughs, and they just inject Krugman in there for no reason. Like, oh, hey, Mr. Krugman, da-da-da. Like, man, let's get this guy. This just makes me throw up. This is sick, man. This is sick.
And doesn't that guy actually believe in the broken window fallacy or something?
I think so.
Yeah. All Keynesians do, don't they?
Stimulate the economy.
by waging war.
Yeah.
Yeah. By spending more money. In areas that the government decides, where they want to spend. Yeah.
It's the idea that you can borrow yourself out of debt.
Yeah, right.
These people.
So, we can definitely see the global economic system starting to rear its head. And ladies and gentlemen, they're not going to impose it by force. They're going to keep pushing out all this propaganda in order to have you call it, in order to have you calling for the very system that's going to enslave you. They're going to,
This is a problem, reaction, solution right in your face. I mean, they've been calling for it.
It'll be to the point where you want it. They'll make it trendy and make you want it.
Oh, yeah. You're going to call for your own enslavement.
Like the article I was reading earlier about the Google smart cities that Google wants to pop up. They want to create cities. Well, that's intelligent cities using the smart grid along with all the other devices that's
your smart car, your smartphone, your smart washer, your smart dryer, your everything.
And at the same time, South Korea, they just was it Samsung that just patented that new contact lens that's like the Google glasses,
which those look pretty cool.
Yeah, they looks cool, but
that would be pretty cool to be able to surf the web.
Oh yeah,
in your brain or in
your eyeball.
Yeah, on the front lens of your eyes.
Yeah, it's like Terminator. There's John Connor.
So definitely stand with principle, ladies and gentlemen. Taxation is theft, and we don't really say that enough, meme it enough, but sometimes you just got to meme the heck out of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm sure y'all have seen the memes out there. If not,
you'll be seeing them coming.
They're making their way.
Yeah.
Heck, even Judge Andrew Napolitano had to start to speak on it.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's quite basic theft, right? Definition of it. I don't know the exact Webster definition, but I would assume it's the taking or acquiring of someone's property against their will, consent, or approval.
Yeah, against their consent. And I've yet to consent to tax.
To a tax, right? Yeah. I guess when we were up in heaven as little angel babies, we consented by picking to be born here or something like that. A social contractor.
Oh, I've heard someone say all kinds of things. You consent by having a business, or you consent by having a transaction, or something silly.
By living in this land.
And I'm just like, no, try again.
And granted, we are fully aware that there are, legalities as far as that goes. The fine print is there for a reason, and it's quasi-consent in the sense that, yeah, sure, you sign, your property away whenever you get the deed or whenever you get the loan for your car or whatever. But in the end, we brought this up too. A contract should have full disclosure on all its requirements and its conclusions. So that's definitely not the case with the government. It seems like full disclosure is
Oh, they're transparent, Rick. They're transparent.
Yeah. They're glass oven, man.
Coming up to a break here at Truth Exposed. Stay tuned. And we're back live this April 6th, 2016. This is Truth Exposed here on the Logos Radio Network. And where are we at, Rick? Were we on? We're still on that story, or are we done with that?
Yeah, we're pretty much done with it. I don't know how much. I'm scared, guys. I'm scared. Seems like
Freddy Krugman.
Seems like only a few of us can actually see what's happening.
Seems like in your American dream.
Yeah. Seems like the rest of the world is just asleep at the wheel, and we all just have to sit in the passenger seat and just wait for the crash to happen, don't we?
Yeah, it is like being in a slow motion crash. We're just strapped in, stuck, and
no, I'm taking my seatbelt off.
I'm flying out the window. Hopefully, I survive the trauma.
I don't know if you want to, man.
I don't want to stick around for the man. It's crazy. I think it's funny all these celebrities talking about when so and so gets elected, they're gonna leave. La 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 la.
Oh yeah.
Have you not been paying attention to what's going on? How come you're not already out? Like, what are you waiting for? The Titanic's sinking right in your right.
They were saying the same thing when George Bush was running.
Oh, I know, and it's silly. It's ridiculous. People are always saying that on the left and the right, right?
Yeah, it went for Obama's second term, but people were saying it.
I'm going to leave, bah humbug.
Yeah,
still here.
Don't worry. Soon enough, you won't be allowed to leave. So once we get,
that's what the wall's for.
Yeah,
Well, and after they take over everything, it won't matter. You know?
yeah, there'll be nowhere to hide.
There's
Right?
nowhere to go, yeah.
Tax on everything. Global tax on everything.
Smart universe, smart world.
Start taxing the squirrels.
Yep.
We get 25%.
You got too many nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's despicable. I mean,
The squirrel had more than his fair share, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
he was hoarding them.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Meanwhile, there's other squirrels dying.
Yeah.
From hunger.
We need to redistribute those evenly.
Next thing you know, tax collectors got the best trail mix ever. Personal trail mix ever.
That kid's how Chex Mix came around.
Right?
Yeah. No, it's really ridiculous. I mean, it to put it lightly, I mean, it's just gone berserk because for people to not realize that taxation is theft and really fight you on that very issue, really shows how far down the rabbit hole of idiocracy we're at here.
It reminds me of like the person in prison who, once they get let out, they want to commit a crime so they can go back in because they don't know how to deal with being free. It's like, or like a slave, like beating up the other slave, like, stop trying to get away. Like,
right.
Stop trying to be free. Like, what is going on?
It's like the crabs in a bucket scenario.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
When crab's getting out, they're all pulling him back down. Like, no, you can't get out without us.
Yeah. Instead of being, none of us should get robbed, they're mad that you don't get robbed. You know, if you get away with it. Oh, yeah. Same thing with the drugs and everything else. Oh, the senator or whatever with all the drugs. Like, why isn't he getting locked up? How about, why don't you let everyone go free? I mean.
Yeah. Victimless crime here.
Yeah. So it's just that same old, they can't be consistent and they're hypocrites and
not going to the root of the debate.
Oh, definitely.
To the root of the issue, the ethics of it.
Get down to the basics.
Yeah. No, it ain't going to happen, guys. It ain't going to happen, unfortunately. So hope you guys are getting ready for this new world order coming about.
For real.
Because we're going to need some strong men and women. They're going to stand for truth, going to stand for logic and consistency, and come what may, come what may.
As long as the ministry song is the national anthem, I think it'll be all right.
New world order.
Is that War Pigs? I think someone had a.
Yeah. That would be a good one too.
Petition to change the national anthem to War Pigs or something.
Where's it at? I'll sign it.
By Mr. Ozzy. Hey, Ozzy, my mom really likes your music.
Oh, yeah, it's Bush.
Yeah. Yeah, so, wonder why. She is like a warlord witch.
Yeah, wasn't she like the daughter of Aleister Crowley?
Supposedly, right? It's the hearsay.
It's a possibility.
Not hereabouts.
Yep.
So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, that's pretty much for the news of the day.
She looks like him.
Yeah, it kind of does. But, let's just get into this philosophy. I mean, talking about the idiocracies of this world just leave me craving some knowledge and some actual meat, some food for thought. Because reading about this...
What about vegetarians, Rick?
Well, hey, fruits and vegetables could be meat, too. I mean, Genesis 1:29-30.
Whoa, nah. Whoa.
What is it? I don't remember exact quote, but let all herbs and herb-bearing seed be meat for you and all the animals and whatnot, so...
Watch out, man. Rick's an encyclopedia over there.
Meat means food, man.
I could chew on that.
Yeah.
Just make sure you
chew on this.
Yeah, chew it properly.
So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, as y'all well know, we've been breaking down property, the acquisition of property, according to Mr. John Locke, the father of liberalism. Dun, dun, dun.
We're talking classical liberalism, though.
Yeah, the real
deal.
Mm-hmm.
OG liberalism.
Yeah.
And here it is.
Liberal OG.
Yeah.
OG liberal.
OG. Triple OG.
Yeah, so we've been in chapter 5 here of his second treatise on government, and just breaking down property. He's been laying it down succinctly, step by step, logically, chronologically. I mean, point by point. I wish they would come out with something as thorough, half as thorough as this, when it came to justifying all the statist intervention we got in the world.
No, we can't define things, Rick. That's not good. Then
words are bad, Cuddy.
Yeah, we don't want to be able to call a spade a spade. And we got to think.
A spade can be a diamond if it wants to, Cud.
War is peace.
Calling a spade is not politically correct. You have to call it something else.
Being tracked and traced
what the spade wants to be called.
Yeah,
it matters.
It's a shovel.
Respect the spade's feelings. You're microaggressing on the spade.
With your words.
Yeah, with your words.
Yeah. So, section 32, we wrapped that up last week. Pretty good stuff here. Basically, Locke was pointing out that so long as you're not injuring anybody else, you acquiring a piece of land and transforming it, or acquiring a piece of water or some water right out of a well and using it for your benefit, if you're not taking from anybody who's already homesteaded it, well, where's the victim? Is Mother Nature going to file a lawsuit against you?
I'm sure there's people who can magically make one up.
Yeah, Greenpeace, right?
Yeah.
EPA or whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, good stuff here. I mean, common sense. So here in section 33, paragraph 33 of it, he goes on to say, and for y'all that don't know, I mean, they're maybe listening to this for the first time, Locke really used a lot of the Bible and a lot of what God had, told us in Genesis, with the Hebrew Christian scriptures, Judeo-Christian religion, in order to back up his claims, which is really neat. I mean, to think that you got the Word of God on your side, and that the Word of God does justify free humanity.
Well, that you have to also look at the aspect that these the kings and queens were ruling by the claim that to be the heir to God, so they're God on earth to you. And so now people are actually reading the writings and interpreting it and putting it across this way, and that really changes the playing field.
Yeah, exactly. Take the power away from the kings, the men on earth, really. And that's what I really like about it, so much. I'd rather the power come from God than it's like, what came first, government or man, or something? Like government like gave birth to man, and it's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we read up on that, right? It was Nimrod. I think he kind of took it all by force. It wasn't a consensual thing of any kind. It wasn't just some mutual agreement that everyone came to. Hey, we need government now. So all governments are established by force and by the rule of force, whether it's a sword or a gun. It's strong might makes right. So only the strong succeed. So here in section 33, Locke goes on to say that God gave the world to men in common, but since he gave it them for their benefit and the greatest conveniences of life, they were capable to draw from it. It cannot be supposed he meant it should always remain common and uncultivated. He gave it to the use of the industrious and rational, and labor was to be his title to it, not to the fancy or covetousness of the quarrelsome and contentiousness. He that had as good left for his improvement as was already taken up needed not complain, ought not to meddle with what was already improved by another's labor. If he did it, it is plain he desired the benefit of another's pains, which he had no right to, and not the ground which God had given him in common with others, to labor on, and wherefore there was a good left as that already possessed, and more than he knew what to do with, or his industry could reach to. So yeah, I mean, God never gave us jurisdiction or a king or a group of men or body of men and women jurisdiction to take from the labor of others. Hence our stance against taxation. Quite simply put, I don't think the commandments actually say the complete opposite. Thou shalt not steal.
Yeah, they're stealing your life, your energy, and your time. I mean, your time and your energy is your life. I mean, we're not here forever. We don't have unlimited energy, so.
Yeah, we're not spirit beings that can do without physical materials. We need them to survive. So to take that away from us is taking away our survival.
Yeah, well, just to mislead you to have you do work for me and not pay you, that would be, stealing from you. I stole your time. I stole your labor.
Yeah.
Quite simple, logical. You have to jump through a lot of hoops to try to justify the opposite. So he goes on to say here, section 34, it is true in land that is common in England or in any other country where there are plenty of people under government who have money and commerce, no one can enclose or appropriate any part without consent of all his fellow commoners, because this is left common by compact, i.e. by the law of the land, which is not to be violated. And though it be common, or coming on a break, I got time to finish this up, but though it be common in respect of some men, it is not to all mankind, but is the joint property of his country or of this parish. Besides, the remainder after such enclosure would be not so good to the rest of the commoners as the whole was, when they could all make use of the whole. So we're going to finish up this paragraph here when we get back. It seems like here Locke may be, we got to finish the paragraph before we become rash judges of what he's trying to say here, but he may be trying to justify government here a little bit. I don't know about this paragraph, but we'll see what we're trying to get at.
How do you justify force?
I don't know, man.
I don't think you can.
Made it sound like some kind of mutual agreement or something.
Well, that's the only way, right?
If you hit me, I hit you back.
You signed a contract. We're coming on to a break.
Logos Radio Network presents Truth Exposed Radio, a transmission promoting resistance to tyranny. Listen in as we explore counter-economics, spontaneous order, and the human strive for liberty with your host, Rick Rody, Marshall Soul, and Cuddy Rowe. And now, Truth Exposed Radio.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are back, and we are live this lovely April 6th, 2016. Live every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. Check out Truth Exposed Radio on the LogosRadioNetwork.com webpage, the archives. And while you're at it, might as well check out the great lineup of sponsors that we got.
On the right side of the page at logosradionetwork.com.
Oh, yeah. Non-GMO solutions, great storable food. Talking about years here of storable food.
It's about time to start getting in on that storable food now. I mean, it's looking pretty crazy out there.
Yeah, God forbid we got Colonel Sanders in power and we got shortages up the wazoo.
What was that? I seen he praised breadlines. It's like, wow.
No surprise. No surprise. He praised Castro, I think, too. So they go hand in hand.
It's just crazy, man. It's crazy.
And they go hand in hand because you got nothing else left in your hands. I mean, you got no bread in your hand. You're just waiting there, rubbing your hands together for warmth.
Hand in hand because one hand's empty.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, definitely check out the great lineup of sponsors we got on the page. Global Healing Center, great detox kits, stuff to clean you out. It's definitely something to check out.
Your iodines, your colloidal silvers, your oxy powders, all that good stuff from Dr. Group at the Global Healing Center. And then you also have the Gold Savings Club with the gold and the bullion and credit card, nice little size you can keep in your wallet. Definitely check that out as well.
Oh yeah, you want to keep some actual wealth? Invest in gold. Invest in precious metals.
Exactly. You want to hold on to the money and not worry about it disappearing, through inflation, deflation, and keeping it in the bank and whatnot. Definitely a hedge against, the fiat currencies.
Oh yeah. And I do appreciate everybody that was able to help out for the drawing, for the logos drawing that we were having. Didn't quite meet the mark, but if you want to help out, I know it's after the drawing, but if you just want to help out, we do take Bitcoin or any kind of donation that you want to help out with to keep the transmissions going of all these great lineup of shows, which you can just check out with the schedule and the shows links at the top there. So definitely check that out, ladies and gentlemen. We got left here in the middle of a paragraph, which I was finding a little hard to follow. But I think Locke is contrasting, the law of the land, i.e. the law of men in England, enforced under government, versus the law of nature, which is appropriating property from the labor you put into cultivating the earth. So because he continues here after mentioning that all these mankind are joint property of this country or of this parish, he says that besides the remainder, after such enclosure, would not be as good to the rest of the commoners as the whole was when they could all make use of the whole. Whereas in the beginning, the first people of the great common of the world, it was quite otherwise. So here he's sort of justifying government just in the sense that if government didn't step in and control the acquisition of land, we have so many people on the planet now that there would be shortages or there would be hoarding or there would be issues arising. So we need to have some form of determining what's legit and what's illegitimate property. And yeah, sure, we need to have a form of determining that, but definitely not government. And this is where Locke, he wasn't an anarchist. He wasn't. He was a minarchist by all intended purposes. Thomas Jefferson and the founders of this country, the writers of the Constitution, got their inspiration. The Declaration of Independence got its inspiration from Locke, but not quite. They're not. The evolution of the philosophy hadn't gotten to level Rothbard yet. So
yeah, but he's definitely laying down a foundation for it. So which is pretty interesting. I guess he was laying down the conclusions, but just wasn't, or laying down the whole pathway to it. Would just hadn't followed his own work to his own conclusion, really, because the way you acquire land would make it very hard for everybody to just take over all the land. So, good for him for putting all this together for us. Giving us nothing but a great way to outline how things should be and how really there wouldn't be all this Ted Turner with the owning huge chunk of the middle of the United States, through however many states it is, just
yeah, right. The BLM having issues with the ranchers over.
They have no right to the land. They didn't put any work to turn it in, to transform it into anything. So how are they going to go and take someone's land who has? So
yeah, and it is somewhat of a contradiction here. To say that if we just let human beings be, somehow land would be monopolized, and thus we need a monopoly in order to monopolize on land so that we keep people from monopolizing.
Yeah, exactly.
It gets a little redundant there.
Yeah.
What do they call that? A guinea pig in the wheel, right? Just
hamster in the yeah.
Monopoly to monopolize monopoly.
Yeah, to keep from monopolies monopolizing.
Yeah, you have to have a monopoly. Yeah, to keep it. Just that's where you just become self-defeating right there.
A snake eating its own tail, you say?
He did good all the way up till there.
Yeah, and and this really shows. I mean, hopefully you guys get the reality that we like siphoning through stuff. I mean, we tip our hat to Mr. Locke, but we don't take him verbatim. We don't take him as gospel. We don't take him as
we don't idolize
infallible.
him. Yeah, we don't idolize.
Yeah, do you look at the people that bring up valid points and that you can cross-reference and go with from yourself, and then, of course, when it comes up and you disagree with it, you look at it, and you discern it.
Mm-hmm. No reason to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right?
No.
So,
that's what they'd say about us, saying we don't need government. I think that's a zombie demon baby.
Yeah. I think they made a movie about that, The Omen or something.
That's not a baby, that's a leech.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and babies are leeches, technically, get on the teat.
Yeah.
But
this one just doesn't ever get off.
It never gets off.
It never goes up. It never goes up.
Now, 80-year-olds, there's Colonel Sanders still on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
it's funny.
Oh yeah. So, here Locke finishes up this paragraph here, basically stating that the law man was under was rather for appropriating. God commanded, and his wants forced him to labor. That was his property, which could not be taken from him wherever he had fixed it. And hence, subduing or cultivating the earth and having dominion, we see are joined together. The one gave title to the other, so that God, by communicating to subdue, gave authority so far to appropriate. And the condition of human life, which requires labor and materials to work on, necessarily introduced private possessions. I mean, like we read about the Native Americans, right? I mean, shoot, come on now. You're going to work on arrowheads all day? You're going to hunt buffalo all day and just have other people of the tribe just take the goods you so...
Of course not.
Labored on? I mean...
I'm sure they fought many times over that.
Yeah. Makes sense. If you're not following along, definitely encourage you guys to check out the two treaties and read them for yourself and make notes. Really analyze this stuff. We'd love to hear from y'all. So this next section here, 35, the measure of property, nature well set by the extent of man's labor and the conveniency of life. No man's labor could subdue or appropriate all of nature, right? Nor could his enjoyment consume more than a small part of it. Very true. I mean, so that it was impossible for any man this way to enrich upon the right of another or acquire to himself a property to the prejudice of his neighbor. He would still have room for as good and as large a possession after the other had taken out his as before it was appropriated. So here making the point that early on, I mean, there really was probably little conflict when it came to territories and lands because it's so abundant. There's so much out there.
There's no need to get in a fight over something. You can go and stake your claim right over here, right over there. And then, and as well, too, I mean, a lot of people wouldn't want to be so close to I mean.
Yeah, you don't want to be that close to your neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, maybe close enough to maybe, holler at or get to borrow a couple milk or sugar or something, but,
Close enough to make it to market, yeah.
Exactly. Not too, And there's plenty of room. I mean, drive across the country these days. I mean, we're not overpopulated. Not in the least bit.
Yeah, we're not Malthusians over here, are we?
Mm-mm.
We don't have an innate despising of humanity. This is what I love about capitalism. This is what I love about libertarianism and freedom, is that we actually for all intents and purposes, humanitarian. I think we're the most humanitarian out of all political or apolitical ideologies out there. So, because what is more humanitarian, ladies and gentlemen, than allowing men and women to enjoy the fruits of their labor, to enjoy the bounty that God has bestowed on us, that nature has given upon us?
Right. It seems pretty inhumane to want everyone to be a slave and to be stolen from. So, I mean,
and to have your will forced upon them.
Yeah, right. Because I guess we're just too dumb. We're just too dumb. We don't know how to exercise our free will. We need someone else to tell us what's best for us.
Yeah, we need someone who doesn't know how to exercise their will either to tell us, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, pointing out that there's plenty of land when humanity first kicked off, when civilization was first kicking off. And this really brings in the whole Eden scenario, right? I mean, in the Garden of Eden, when everything is bountiful and there's a replenishing of all resources, there could have been very little to no actual conflict in that situation because, again, your neighbor appropriates some food or some land. There's plenty to go around. So there's no reason to quarrel, no reason to get into it, really.
Yeah, not that I could see, unless someone's got like the
20
best
acres.
spot on the lake, and then there's some greedy sucker who's just like wants, the better view or something on the hilltop or whatever, something silly. But
Right.
other than that, like,
So here, wrapping up the point that he just said, so much land to appropriate that it's impossible to appropriate at all. He goes on to say that which measure did confine every man's possession to a very moderate proportion, as such as he might appropriate to himself without injury to anybody in the first ages of the world, when men were more in danger to be lost by wandering from their company in the then vast wilderness of the earth than to be straitened for the want of room to plant. So, this is another crucial point, is that pulling the whole, what's his name? The Rousseau, right? Not Rousseau, I'm sorry, the Crusoe. Crusoe economics, the guy, the loner on the island. You don't want to be the loner on the island. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of struggle right there. You want to stick to a group of people in order to divide the labor there. So
yeah, exactly. No one's fully self-sustainable. Way too much.
This is the Logos Radio Network.
And we're back live this April 6, 2016. This is the Truth Exposed Radio here on the Logos Radio Network. And what were we getting into right now? We were just going through the old Locke.
the Lockean Provicio.
We had to kind of smack him down for biting his own tail, stepping on his own shoes.
Can't blame the guy. I mean, he's a pioneer in the
Exactly. He's
one of the ideology.
Yeah, one of the early on cats, definitely. So yeah, you can't blame him. I mean, he's probably scared. He's probably scared to go all the way too back then.
Yeah, you get burned.
Yeah, burned at the stake.
They'll go full ISIS on you.
Yeah, they will.
Back in those days, yeah.
Looks like we've come full circle too.
Yeah, talking about a revolution, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I can kind of see his point. I mean, London at this time, it was getting a little crowded. People were having land disputes. There can be, obviously you need to deal with these disputes. So he's trying to find a logical way to address this. How do we deal with these disputes?
He hadn't discovered the private arbitration yet.
Yeah. Instead of dividing government into several powers, let's just divide power into across the board.
Yeah. Everyone has the power.
Yeah. I mean, and then there's such a thing as private arbitration. So, I mean, I believe it was even practiced in his day. So, we can't blame the guy. He did so much.
Well, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. And early on, he's really, giving the state a good butt kicking.
Oh yeah. Especially this whole divine right to rule and the divine right of kings and all this. Destroying
it's
the
mindsets like that brought people out of the dark ages, or out of the feudalism.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I mean, if they only had a Locke if they had only listened to Locke, during the French Revolution, it may have turned out a lot differently.
Man, those days were crazy.
Oh yeah. So he goes on to move on here. I mean, and again, we can see why this is an issue that you have to deal with. What do you deal with? How do we deal with land disputes? And yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into that down the ways. What private arbitration, how that may work, some of the issues with it, but for a different day for sure. So Section 36 here, the same measure may be allowed still without prejudice to anybody full as the world seems. For supposing a man or family in the state that they were first, peopling of the world by the children of Adam and Noah, let him plant in some inland vacant places of America. We shall find that the possessions he can make himself upon the measures we have given would not be very large, nor even to this day prejudice the rest of mankind, or give them reason to complain or think themselves injured by this man's encroachment. Though the race of men have now spread themselves to all the corners of the world, and do infinitely exceed the small number that was at the beginning. Nay, the extent of the ground is of so little value without labor, that I have heard it affirmed that in Spain itself a man may be permitted to plow so and reap without being disturbed upon land he has no other title to, but only his making use of it. But on the contrary, the inhabitants think themselves beholden to him who by his industry on neglected and consequently waste land has increased the stock of corn which they wanted. But be this as it will, which I lay no stress on, this I dare boldly affirm, that the same rule of property, in other words, that every man should have as much as he could make use of, would hold still in the world without straightening anybody, restricting anybody, right? Since there is land enough in the world to suffice double the inhabitants, had not the invention of money and the tacit agreement of men to put a value on it introduced by consent, larger possessions and a right to them, which how it is done, I shall by and by show more at large. So, yeah, I mean, and with bringing in seasteading, skysteading, spacesteading, moonsteading, and all these different concepts, I mean, hey, the Earth gets crowded enough. People are going to find other frontiers to colonize. It's just human nature, right? To want a piece of your own for yourself and your own. So,
and we have so many technologies, these days, and as long as we're left free, we can create more and better ones. So, yeah, there's no reason all that's not possible.
Yeah, as long as we keep from reoccurring a world war scenario, capital should and technology should keep increasing to the point to where we could maybe even get past the Van Allen bills. Who knows?
Yeah, we just have this problem of this thing called government. It just keeps growing, and it's like a bunch of locusts. It just comes around and eats up everything you worked for. It's just it's stifling the innovations and the growing of humanity. I mean, we're having our future stolen from us.
If someone's gonna take half of your work, are you really gonna want to work anymore?
Exactly. That's why they've got to do patents and things to try to give you incentive to create new things that they can siphon and steal and all kinds monopolize.
Right. Don't you guys find it hilarious how the people that adamantly defend government the most usually have like personal connections to government in some way, like they're personally benefiting, whether it's welfare or maybe their relative is in the military or they're in some local city council of some sort. I mean,
we always get into these conversations with people and then later they admit, oh yeah, I work, but I don't get tax money or whatever.
I pay my taxes too, though.
Yeah.
They're not offshore in Panama.
They try to justify themselves. They feel because they start to understand that the money isn't acquired justly.
It's not. And the road to hell, ladies and gentlemen, is paved with good intentions. I mean, we're not saying that people in government are knowingly malicious. That's not our theory. That's not our claim here. We're saying that the means by which they acquire their wealth is malicious, and their intentions may not be. So we're not trying to put an evil heart into the intents of these people. I mean, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but they need to realize that their employer is acquiring wealth in a very unjust, unethical format, and they need to address such things.
That's not very comfortable for me, Rick.
Might have to quit your job, right?
Yeah.
But you got all these nice benefits, though, and
yeah, right.
Yeah, your 401k and whatnot, and your retirement with the Uncle Sam got the master plan.
They're not accountable for what the government's done, how they've acquired their, they try to justify it all these different ways, It's taking advantage too, right? I mean, who's not going to when there's a way to take advantage of there's a system to take advantage of. I mean, you can hardly blame them. I mean, they're doing what they can get away with, right?
Right. Incentivizing evil, essentially. Yeah, it's a sick world, ladies and gentlemen. So we need bright young individuals, young and old, doesn't matter. Bright or dull, it don't matter. We need individuals to really get on board with this philosophy and really start voicing their opinions, because we don't know how much time we got left. I mean, the cycle of history seems another world war. It could be around the corner, and that's a lot of bloodshed. That's a lot of destruction of accumulated wealth of production, of technology. I mean, that's just nuking us back to the Stone Age here. Is that really what we want? Well,
all the things that have gone on overseas and all these other countries, the destabilization programs, they're all coming home. It's all coming here. So this place is going to look like, hopefully not, but I mean, it's going to look like Libya or Syria or something soon. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. I mean, that's all we can do is warn everybody. I mean, and just keep. I'm like, I could just shake my head.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really not that far-fetched when you consider the BBC and all these networks constantly pushing this, the 5 most common or the most likely end day scenarios, and you got nukes or bio warfare or chemical warfare, on a global scale.
And then all the movies and TV shows that put across the same idea, really forcing it to you over the years.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just a matter of time before the terrorist attacks go nuclear or something like that. It's just.
Which would, again, be very beneficial for those in power.
Definitely. You can already tell they're preparing for that.
Got to use it. Can't let a crisis go to waste, right?
Definitely not.
Yeah. This is really a life or death situation, ladies and gentlemen. And again, we need you to wake up. We really do. We really do. So we're happy you're listening. We're happy you're coming on board. I'm sure you're awake, but we got to get out there and wake up the people that are still asleep. So
Definitely. Take this handle.
When you surf the internet, you may get the false impression that you're alone. But advertisers are likely to be watching, and a Gallup poll says we don't like it one bit. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, and I'll be back to tell you more in just a moment.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This public service announcement is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
According to a new Gallup poll, most Americans are not aware they're being tracked and profiled as they surf the internet, but they clearly hate the idea. Researchers ask internet users if advertisers should be allowed to customize online ads to match the websites they visited. 67% said no. Nevertheless, advertisers continue their stealthy ways. Here are 3 tips to stop the snooping. Number 1, stick to privacy-friendly websites when possible, especially for web searches. Your search terms reveal a lot about you, like your interests and your medical conditions. Number 2, delete tracking cookies. And number 3, visit websites through a proxy, like the one at StartPage.com. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht. More news and information at CatherineAlbrecht.com.
Chemtrails.
You're listening to the Logos Radio Network at logosradionetwork.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Truth Exposed Radio right here on the Logos Radio Network. I'm one of your co-hosts here, Marshall Soul.
My name is Taxation is Theft.
Who else is with you, Mr. Taxation is Theft?
Oh, Cuddy Rowe here riding shotgun with Taxation is Theft.
Rick Brody in the back just waiting for the crash.
You're right.
I'm tied up in the trunk.
Hey, man, how else are we going to get the roads, man?
Yeah, right.
Anyways.
We wouldn't do anything for our own benefit. I mean, we're just...
No, we have to be forged to make humanity great by government.
Yeah.
You got to be forced to make the roads.
Definitely. They're not going to make themselves.
Nope.
People don't need to, they don't want to produce things freely. There's no benefit, Benefit is being, forced at the barrel of a gun.
Yeah.
If it's a benefit, you shouldn't have to be forced. Take this.
Man.
It's good for you.
Yeah. It's like the parent with the spoon and the vegetables. Here, open up. You got to eat it.
Yeah, except these are rotten, spoiled, and bad for you.
Yeah. And at least the parent usually has some good intentions for you, some kind of incentive, for your well-being.
Right. Yeah.
Pinch your nose until you open your mouth for breath, and stick it in there. Ugh.
Did you have a traumatic childhood?
Yes, I did. Oh man.
Yeah, I wonder how many people in government would identify as being Christian in the United States. I don't know. I don't know what the numbers would be. I mean, I would.
Well, and then you also have to look at ones that say they are and aren't. That say they are that kind of practice it, and some that say they are that completely know they're not.
Yeah,
like the old Seventh-day Adventist guy. What was his name?
Some eyes wide.
Carson.
Yeah, Carson.
Yeah. Well, granted, he wasn't a politician from the get-go, but
yeah,
interesting that he would run for office.
Yeah, it's kind of
a war hawk too for an Adventist,
Makes you think how he could call himself an Adventist. This is
coming in with more of that. What would you call it? Maybe that little radical extremist there rhetoric, right? Got to watch out with the Muslim hordes in Iran and.
Yeah.
The Pope ain't that bad of a guy, Speaking of the Pope, the BBC did a little report on some findings that apparently, hey, the little horn is the most popular leader in the world.
I thought he wasn't a leader anymore.
Well, what do you mean he wasn't a leader anymore?
Well, he's just supposed to be a figurehead, just like the Queen is.
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, he is admittedly the head of both the Catholic Church and the Vatican City State, the Holy See, as they call it. But Yeah, I mean, Pope Francis is more popular than any political world leader, according to a new opinion poll. The poll put him 11 points ahead of his closest rival, Barack Obama, President Barack Obama, in terms of popularity. And this is what I mean, ladies. This is how we know the world's coming to an end here. When Mr. Littlehorn himself, and probably the worst president in history, right after Bush, of course, from G-Dub to G-Dub, beginning and worst.
Don't misconstrue anything here. Bush is just as bad.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah. The only reason Obama's any worse is because he kept everything Bush did and he added more.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason. I mean,
yeah, the next guy I'm sure is going to be worse. Going to keep the status quo and then do more.
Even if it's Trump, how many laws is Trump going to nullify? How many? Well, he's going to get rid of the NDA.
Use to his advantage,
Hey man, but what was his name? Mark Wahlberg, introduced the Pope, man, and was joking with the Pope, saying,
Mark?
Yeah.
Mark?
Yeah, and he introduced him, and then he was like, and joking around saying, oh yeah, I heard you like the movie Ted, and there's all those weird, like, gay sex jokes and innuendos and all kinds of, just a dirtbag movie, about a little teddy bear.
Scum movie, trash movie.
Yeah, a little trash movie, like, I mean, it's just, we're in idiocracy, like, it's just crazy how
it was funny though.
No, but yeah, but to have him introduce, and it's like how they marry that stuff together, and
well, he was on, he was on Rolling Stone, I think, that Pope, Rolling Stone magazine. I mean,
well, you think, I just don't get, if he's so holier than thou and all this and that, how you're going to be introducing him and allowed to make these like crazy jokes, and it's just like a big joke on us.
Yeah,
just like a big joke on us. It's ridiculous.
Oh, it really is. It really is. So, I mean, and he was found favorable amongst agnostics and atheists too, and even half of the Protestant world. So,
what?
Seems like the Protestants aren't really protesting much of anything anymore these days.
Well, him and he.
So they're not Protestants anymore.
He could be president.
They're not.
He could be president of the world, and then Obama could be vice president.
Yeah,
of the world.
there you go. That would be a nice little team up.
Yeah.
Make sure there's no tax havens and saving the planet.
Yeah, let's
just elect the Pope to run the world. Oh, I think that's the plan, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think he already does. Yeah.
So is that a spoiler right there? I'm sorry.
Hey, but he said he doesn't vote. He's not into the politics, right? He's not.
No, but he's
just the OG.
I care not who you vote
political
for.
leader. I thought he was a religious leader, not a political leader.
I tell him what to do either way.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Oh man.
And this may be a reason why why the establishment. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not defending Trump here, ladies and gentlemen, but it was a little interesting that this congressman that openly supported Trump also openly called the Pope the Antichrist, the little horn, the man of sin. So
you got to love that.
There may be some tension there behind the scenes that we don't know. We're not privy on.
I was excited just to see just to see someone go at and bicker and fight with the Pope. Trump, like that was just entertaining. Like
over their walls or whatnot.
Yeah, it's just entertaining to see someone. Just I don't know, poke the Pope.
Yeah, and I mean, we covered the creation of Islam, the funding of Muhammad, his first wife, Khadijah, whose cousin was a nun who grew up in a convent herself, really rich and wealthy Roman Catholic family. So, to see the Pope, teaming up and using multiculturalism and
they're a proxy to do the work of the Catholic Church without it coming back to them.
Right.
It's pretty much just an unveiling of what they've been doing all along. Is now they're going to do it out in front of you.
Yep. I mean,
hence the temples of Baal that are coming up around the world
everywhere,
pretty
right?
soon.
What is up with that? I mean, you can't get any stranger.
Apparently they're going to be building up here a temple to Baal in the next month in Times Square and in the Leicester Square in London. A life-size reproduction of the Temple of Baal.
Are they going to sacrifice babies at the temple or something?
Well, and that's next. After first we got to get them built.
I think they already do. I mean, I think it's called. I think they call it abortion.
Oh, so they're going to open the Temple of Baal / Planned Parenthood facilities.
Yeah, they'll be on the same block.
It's actually a Planned Parenthood. Yeah,
that's messed up, man. This is crazy. But it's
no, but we do. Yeah, we do see the unveiling.
It's a retro Planned Parenthood. It looks all Romanistic,
Right. It is the unveiling of the mystery schools right before our eyes. Before when everything was enshrouded and hidden in mystery.
Right
yeah.
Now it's all coming to light.
It's coming to light. No reason to get you to worship Baal unknowingly. Let's just get you to worship Baal knowingly now. So
yeah, no more hiding it.
Yeah. And Baal, for those that may not know, is one of the Old Testament false gods that really was worshipped by the cultures that weren't Hebrew in the Middle East at that time, and with the most atrocious and sickening of rituals associated with with Bale. I mean, everything, as Marshall mentioned, baby human sacrifice to slitting your skin, like cutting yourself, bleeding all over the place, self mutilation, if you will.
What do you call it? Bloodletting or self-letting or something like that? I forget what they call it. This is just ridiculous, though, and what it's probably paid for by taxpayer money too.
I wouldn't doubt it, right? Wouldn't doubt it.
It would just be fitting, right?
501c3.
Yeah, right. Oh man,
that's getting nasty.
All in your face, man. There's no denying it anymore.
Why deny it? Everybody's complacent with it anyways. Nobody's even listening or going to care about it within the next 5 seconds. Their attention span's so low.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Fluoride.
What were we talking about again?
Taxation is theft, Marshall.
You can remember one thing.
Yeah.
Just remember, taxation is theft.
Easy.
We're back live. This is Truth Exposed here on the Logos Radio Network. I'm one of your hosts, Cuddy Rowe.
Marshall Soul.
Rick Rohde. Coming in hard with them casualties.
Real hard.
Hopefully you're not a casualty in the war for ideas.
Everyone's a casualty.
We're all TV
taxation is theft.
We're all TV casualties.
Oh, I know, right?
Apparently not those collecting taxes, though. They're not really casualties. They're kind of benefiting from all the chaos.
Yep. And they do not want to give up the game. It's too easy living off of plunder, It's
human nature.
When it is easier to steal from your fellow man than it is to work for the same money, you will go to the other one when your morals have dipped the same.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, could you all imagine, like, the Bushes, like, what they would actually provide in the free market? Like, I mean, I could see Junior being a little used car salesman or something, like, barely making ends meet,
Can't go out giving speeches. And I don't know, Bush could be W could be a stand-up comedian,
Yeah. True.
I'm still struggling, though.
He could have been a main actor on Idiocracy.
Yeah.
So
that's where they belong.
I mean, what would they be providing? What kind of service would they be providing? Community organizer?
You see him hauling those logs.
Yeah, because the community doesn't organize.
He used the chainsaw. He could use his chainsaw.
That was just for a photo op, acting like he was out there.
But he looked like he broke a sweat, like had like sawdust and stuff on him.
They're not even from Texas. They came down here and try to act like they're all Texas.
They're carpetbaggers.
Yeah. Okay, man. It is what it is, right?
Them Yankees.
It's just hilarious.
And just for the record, anything outside of Texas is a Yankee.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we still got a little bit to go on this Two Treaties of Government by Mr. John Locke himself. So hopefully we can wrap it up here next episode. But we're gonna keep chugging. The
little train that could.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah, right. Choo choo. But here, Section 37 on Chapter 5, Property, Second Treaties of Government by Mr. John Locke. He says that this is certain, that in the beginning, before the desire of having more than men needed had altered the intrinsic value of things, which depends only on their usefulness to the life of man, or had agreed that a little piece of yellow metal, which would keep without wasting or decay, should be worth a great piece of flesh, or a whole heap of corn, though men had a right to appropriate by their labor, each one to himself, as much as things of nature as he could use, yet this could not be much, nor to the prejudices of others, where the same plenty was still left to those who would use the same industry. Before the appropriating of land, he who gathered as much of the wild fruit, killed, caught, or tamed as many of the beasts as he could, he that so employed his pains about any of the spontaneous products of nature as any way to alter them from the state of nature, put him them, by placing any of his labor on them, did thereby acquire a property in them. But if they perished in his possession without their due use, if the fruits rotted or if the invention putrefied before he could spend it, he offended against the common law of nature and was liable to be punished. He invaded his neighbor's share, for he had no right farther than his use called for any of them, and they might serve to afford him conveniences of life. So this is really one of the distinguishing little keynotes of Mr. Locke, is that he really did believe that, and there's some credit to this. I mean, if you got food going to waste in your fridge, I mean, yeah, that's food that could have gone to somebody else that maybe was in greater need. But I'm sure the next time you do groceries, you're going to calculate that over purchase and make sure that the next time, you load up your fridge, you're not going to have food wasting, because in the end, that's wealth and labor being wasted.
Yeah, exactly.
Your wealth and labor.
Yeah. And if you work for it and you weren't getting it off of other people, you have more incentive to want to keep it. I mean, you're not just throwing stuff away. Politicians, though, on the other hand.
Oh, yeah. How much do they waste?
And whose money are they wasting?
And not theirs, right?
It ain't theirs.
Not their labor. Hence the incentive to actually
worst
take care of it.
fiduciary ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Shoot.
And it
happens all the time. Whether it's raw milk, whether it's food, they come in, right? The EPA or the FDA coming in.
Dump all your milk out and ruin a bunch of good stuff. For what?
Tisk, it broke regulation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here, I mean, Locke is and he's kind of in line here with ancient Hebraic law. I mean, the Old Testament specifies for vineyard and landowners that were actually plowing and reaping and sowing, that they would have to leave a percentage, that you wouldn't, in other words, you wouldn't reap everything. You wouldn't harvest everything. You would leave some for the poor, a little, some of the scraps. You wouldn't just take all the apples off your tree. You would leave a couple on there for people that may be, people that may be inconvenienced by life, people that may be struggling and going through a tough situation. You leave some of your produce for.
They act like people aren't generous. Like
right.
It's like when Cuddy pours a little bit of his drink out and says, "That's for the homies."
Definitely, Hey, I didn't hog it all. I had to share a little bit. But yeah, it's so true. I mean, if we were allowed to keep all of our wealth, we would have more to share, and people would be more generous. I mean, there's people help other people out all the time. They act like it has to be forced.
Yeah, you shouldn't be forced to help others out.
Then
it's not help.
Yeah, then it's.
Yeah, it's not really charitable, is it?
No,
not at all. And there are plenty of organizations out there that would take in your money and act upon your wishes, privately. And if they don't, then you make it a matter to change them or to expose them. As many of those foundations have been exposed, or just make certain investments.
Cancer Association of America.
Yeah, definitely. All those everything everyone's buying, just going to make more statin drugs that cause cancer. Like, way to go.
Yeah, run from the cure. Forget about the cause.
Yeah.
But you really do see all the time how even companies and all this businesses, they help a lot. I mean, there's so many incentives out there. You look at programs. I forget which shoe company it was, but they would give a pair of shoes away to a homeless person or somebody in lower economic brackets if you bought one of their pair of shoes. So for every pair of shoes you bought, someone else that needed them had gone for free.
Well, just like the various schools, like for barbers or doctors or dentists and whatnot, they would practice on low income or the poor as a means to get their credits and to for them to get their experience.
Didn't even Ron Paul do that, even though he was already good? He would take
he would donate his time in.
Exactly. I mean, we don't have to be forced to be compassionate. It's such a joke.
It should be upon your own free will. If you don't feel like it, you don't feel like it. You shouldn't have to be forced to help.
And doesn't that add just so much more to the virtue of being charitable and being compassionate and being humanitarian?
Yeah, when it's done out of your own will versus you being forced.
Out of the compulsions of your own heart, yes.
A lot of people do it now, right? Because, it would be taxed by the government, so they do it as
right. Might as well give it to somebody.
Yeah.
Hey, I know. I'll start a foundation in my name.
Yeah, exactly.
And just put all my money in there.
Yep.
Like that guy on the corner that says, "Give me $1, I'll vote for Trump."
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So here, again, this is something that economics hadn't fully developed at this point. The school of economics, any school really. I mean, there were some out there, but it hadn't really fully developed to the point we're at now. So Locke overseeing this reality that people aren't going to invest in things they're just going to let go to waste. If it did come from their own labor, their own efforts, the incentive is not there. I mean, sure, it may happen,
and it's their choice to do so anyway.
Right.
I mean,
and we're not saying it's impossible. I mean, it may happen. I mean, there's a lot of people did the pumpkin flingers, the catapult contest, and just launched pumpkins up in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, okay, that's food to waste, whatever, but they paid for it. I mean, they
acquired it.
They put labor into that.
Somebody grew it, and somebody acquired it through voluntary means. So,
because if you start arguing in that manner, then you could argue that an obese person wasted all that food when they didn't need to eat that much.
Yeah.
So
Then you start regulating your mouth.
They should be restricted. Yeah.
Yeah. You open up Pandora's box. What it comes down to is they use their labor to purchase or to exchange for another object and use it how they wish. When they purchased that object or gained it, it became theirs to do with as they wish.
Yeah.
As long as they didn't harm anybody else or their property in the process of using that object.
It's too late, guys. Occupy's already got, they've already got the plans in place. They're going to just put a chip right by your mouth and regulate everything that goes in your mouth. And when it gets too much, they're going to hit a little switch and your mouth's going to automatically close, and then someone's going to come and get all that food you've got and divvy it up to.
Not my lucky charms.
Sounds like Obamacare or something. No, I mean, who's to say what is being wasteful, right? I mean, who's to say what is having too much? Those are, again, arbitrary lines that are
it's that slippery slope
that are set. And yeah, sure, you can argue what is
food eugenics courts.
Yeah, right. And sure, you can argue what you're using, what you're not using, this and that. But again, if you look at the incentives, there's no incentive to let labor that you worked on
go to ruin, right?
Go to rot. Yeah, no incentive. So that really starts to wrap up this last paragraph. We're going to finish up next week, Mr. John Locke, property.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We can move on to economics after that because we're doing it thorough over here. We like to do it thoroughly.
We got to let people know where we stand definitively. Clarify things.
Analytically.
Yeah, definitely.
They give you some brain food out there to think for yourself, and see where you fall along these lines of philosophy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. We'll be back next week, ladies and gentlemen, 6 to 8 p.m. Truth Exposed Radio here on the Logos Radio Network. Got the crypto show coming up next. Stay tuned for that. Catch you on the flip. Peace out.
Peace.